Peace. What's going on, y'all? It's your man, SoulMan IT. This is the self-checkout show. And I'm going to just put a disclaimer. I just tried to do a take of this right now. And so having a failed take of this episode, you get a little bit of insight, right, in what you was trying to accomplish and didn't. So there's no need for shock, alarm, concern in a way is like, is someone going to? No. Okay? There's reasons as to why someone like Das, aka SoulMan, would name the show the title of self-checkout show, right? Working in the grocery store, being the nigga that used to do the self-checkout overnight. Glorious job, might I add. And juxtaposing that with, one of my anxieties and fears right now is just being around unaware people. Almost like when you're in a car or a motorcycle and you're around drivers that don't pay attention. It's that kind of fear and anxiety because I don't do well with the pack when that's the context of the pack that you're moving in. It's not like we're walking side by side type shit. And even when it is, there's still an anxiety because a majority of folks just don't care about other people right now as much as they say they do. They'd like to think that they care, and we like to tell ourselves that we care, but I just say, well, if that's the case, well, let's take a look at the hospital care and the general care industry, right? Service industry, because in service you have to provide care, right? And this is where you start to see who treats people that come to them for their service as a patient, in which you have to provide patience and care for them, versus they just a client or a customer. And I would like to argue that I think more folks feel like the latter. Because when I look at this self-checkout line in this grocery store plantation called America, right? There's a lot of us that is just self-checking out. There's some folks you never expected to be here. There's some folks just like, I was waiting, right? Because I've been here since like 9. Now I'm starting to meet other folks that were just like, 9, nigga, I got you beat. 7 for me. It's like, and that's the thing about being in this line, man. It's like the self-checkout line, for those of you who are new to this line, just because it's the first episode don't mean this line is new. No, it's been here, right? Ain't nobody standing at the podium, though, right? Where I'm from, where they made the self-checkout line where I'm from, Binghamton, New York, shout out, 607. Price Chopper. This is when Price Chopper, if you go to Binghamton now, Price Chopper is on the one end of the parking lot. This is when it used to be on the other end. I used to work in that one there. Shout out to the old school Price Chopper parking lot team. I don't know if it's like that real or that serious. Like if there's like that lot team versus that lot team. If it is, chill. Anyway, in working there at self-checkout, you just learn a lot. You learn a lot from reflecting a lot of times, making lists while you're there. See, I did the overnight joint. So you're there for like 7-8 hours, just standing on your feet with 4 machines. And you just got like late night customers that come through, or you got, winos and whatever, trying to get like they 40 ounce and they whatever at that time of night. Glorious job again, but it paid the bills. And I at one point I did enjoy interacting with people in that kind of a sales manner, in which they come through, they're like, yo, how you doing? It's like, oh, I'm doing well, and you rap with them for a minute, right? And you get a good pulse on them. You only want to be there for like however long. You ain't trying to like hold up the line, right? And you like that. For me, I just wanted more after a point. And so you look at all the other departments. You look at the pharmacy, you look at seafood, you look at floral, you look at dairy, you look at prepared foods, you look at the bakery, you look at general merchandise in the middle, right? You look at customer service up front, the front end, upstairs, administrative and management. And you learn the whole joint, how it worked, right? See, when I worked in the grocery store, they had a movie section. Right? I miss that. Like being able to go in. At the same time, what I don't miss is sticky ass like covers, movie covers. Cause like, pause. I'm talking about like juice and things like that, like stains and whatnot. But it'd just be like, that's the only thing. It's the only thing. You would hate it because like, especially like on popular movies and popular games, you would always get like that one case that like, and they always had like 2 copies, like 2 or 3 copies, because it wasn't like trying to like compete with Blockbuster. They were just trying to get some side money for real, right? So they only got like 2 or 3 copies, but like the 2 good copies is gone, and the one that's left is the one no one want to touch because they just like, hey, this is before COVID. Like we probably thought that shit was COVID, right? I just say all that to just say I got experience in being in self-checkout in many different ways, the self-checkout line. But to more serious note of it, because when I'm talking about this line, hopefully your brain and ears still work when you hear me say that and you understand nuance and tone and just different context and the different many layers of context, because I feel like we done lost that. And that's why a lot of times I'll be ready to get up off of this podium, so to speak, and go right there in the line with you. Because a lot of it have to do with, there's not too many folks at the podium of self-checkout, dog, to make sure you're cool with this self-checkout line. There really isn't. And so when folks like me start leaving the post, whether it be you just get tired of doing the job or something come and replace you, right? You go to most stores now, you don't have someone that's really of the store and staff that really watches self-checkout. It's more so whoever they pay for security on the side over there just to make sure you ain't stealing nothing. That's really it. And I say since the beginning of this year, I've had way more folks that I know, that I've come into contact with, that I know or know of. I don't know, right? But we've known and seen enough of each other in our interactions and dealings where you feel like you know them on some level, right? And I'm saying it in a way where like it tries to be inclusive, just like whatever walk of life you can think of. Because there's way too many folks just saying like, yo, I want to check out. And it's social exhaustion. Like we are socially taxed from each other. And I wish people would just say it like that and stop finding stupid, cute, clever ways to say it where it only makes themselves feel better about it. No one else feels better about it when you are the one being cute and clever about it. And so it's like we're all standing around like, well, what are you hiding it and dressing it up for like this? I don't understand well, I just don't want to be okay, so we're like now undermining someone's ability to comprehend each other? Well, yeah, look at the state of the world and da-da-da. So at what point do you trust the people around you? And then therein lies the thing. Don't none of us trust anyone on really anything. And for me, it's like, okay. Now where this rubs me wrong is I remember what that felt like at 14. That's when it started, when I first started rapping. What do I mean by that? I couldn't trust nobody, including family, to ensure that this 36-year-old guy now would just drop the project on the first. Like where all that rappity rap started was, it was 14, and no one believed in the guy. AKA no one trusted that guy would do, that kid would become this guy. And so how do you get here? Okay, well, I need recording time, so I guess I'll teach myself how to record. Well, I need beats, so I guess I'll teach myself how to make beats. Well, I need a graphics card, a cover. I teach myself how to design. I need to market, make my own website and social media stuff. Like, mind you, it wasn't easy. And you try not, man. My dad did that same shit. My mom did that same shit. The people of that generation did that same shit. And those of us who were like our children of that generation did the same shit. Now, there are some of us that are in that same generation that chose not to do that. And so it seems like they get to speak louder than those of us who had to actually go through the shit. Right? Where you know what? You end up feeling like you should feel ashamed for how you were raised, for having parents that busted their ass, went to work to make sure you could go further. And then you can't even talk about your experiences and things like this because someone's gonna judge you and say, well, I never had a dad, I never had a mom, I never had. Yo, my little sister died when I was 5. That's some shit I never really want to talk about with folks. I don't need your sympathy, I don't need your empathy, because how the community handled, not me, my parents then didn't want to bury her properly. So my dad had to make my little sister's coffin and bury them accordingly to Islamic tradition. No one came to our defense and to our support. No one cried. The ones who did, well, they still here to this day. Shout out to the Andersons. Shout out to the Ramoses. Shout out to the tribe members that's still here, because you're on this side of the grass. Because I don't ever want it to feel like a nigga don't recognize that you there. That's not the point, because I feel sometimes people be missing the point of what I'm saying, and they get so stuck on a point because you don't like the tone and everything that's being said right now. And it's just like, yo, key thing here, self-checkout line. Need you to focus on this. Need you to focus on this, really. And don't check out all the time of the niggas who are ready to self-check out. Because I'm speaking for a bunch of folks. And it's hoping that something like this makes it so they at least don't feel alone. And I have delayed that for at least a day. I think that's that is a good goal to have. Because what else do I got to fucking do? Because it's not like when I break shit down, folks actually want to learn from it and apply it or something like that. No, everybody's too busy trying to figure out, is there going to be a future? And so on some level, as the son of activists, the son of people who move and get shit done, as a product from that time that y'all just call a boomer and okay, well, that's where all the experience is, with your unexperienced ass self. It's hard to have compassion to those that will never have compassion for what you've had to learn, that they want to pay you so little to nothing at all for. Like, the amount of folks that when I tell them, yo, there's no one coming behind me really, of the younger generation that really wants to do like design and multimedia design. They've watched how y'all have treated people like me, and they're like,
I don't want that. If anything, all I want to be is the person in front. I want to be in front of this. I want to be in front of this. I want to get good at being in front of this.
And so there's very limited things. There's a bunch of different things you could do in front of a microphone, sure. But like, only the best will move from that. So everyone focusing on being just this, I mean, it's going to crash at some point. We saw the same thing when everyone wanted to be a rapper, and SoundCloud was the thing to go to for all that. And then after that reached its peak, and we saw it's the same thing over and over again. So it's like, I'm saying all that because I've heard way too many folks my age and older where they're like, well, you know what? Why don't you just teach my son? Why don't you just teach my daughter, right? I just give them the electronic stuff to do in the house. That's also why they don't want to do this shit. You have killed the love and passion and any desire for any of the youth to really want to learn any of this technology shit. if it's just gonna make them a slave to you, especially if you're their parent. Now see, none of y'all had the benefit of this story, and my dad ain't here to be able to tell you how that might go for you as a parent. I'm just saying. My mom, she could tell you. You get to this place where you feel like, I can't share either that or I'm not shareable. There's way too many folks I know, especially in this self-checkout line, that feel like they're not worthy of being shared. That's another way of saying it. You feel unshareable, AKA you feel like you're not worthy of being shared. Why do you feel that way? Well, let's just go to the data, shall we? Let's like a meteorologist, right? Let's look at the map here. Does anybody share you? When's the last time someone shared you? Shared a story about you, a good story. Shared an insight that they gained from you. Shared something positive with you other than, did you see this movie? Did you see this show? Did you read that article? Did you listen to this song? All this superficial shit, yo. Because once you get that, what you left with? Nothing. Because you don't ask no deeper questions. And we don't share insights, share reflections, share critiques, share feedback. Yeah, a lot of people there, they don't feel like they're worthy of being shared. Put it like this here. You know, how many times do you hear someone talking about, it's almost like the Luther Vandross song, My Secret Love, right? But I think a lot of people feel this way, whether it's like on some company, family, right? Like, you're dealing with people that don't want to share anything. And even in the sense of, you'll find out, oh, I didn't even know this person did this or was and it's just like, I get it on the sense of security. I get it in the sense of things like that. However, how am I supposed to know what you can contribute and what you can bring to the table if you don't share what you do and actually bring? It's just this perceived value that's only valuable to you. Because if we bring it to market, so to speak, if we bring it to public opinion, if we bring it to other folks and ask them, hey, can you measure this in terms of its utility, its usability? That's what adds to value. Can you use this? Let's not act like like the value of an expensive shoe is twofold. It's rare and it's a shoe. So it covers both bases. Right? Like, you start to really wonder, do people actually, what don't we get? What don't we want to get? Why don't we want to get it? Like, hey, it's, you know, and trying to keep to the topic of this here, you know, the title of the show and why, and talking about different things that make us want to self-checkout, right? Or why are we in this self-checkout line in the first place? Or how do we get here, right? Like, I would like to be the reminder of, you know, what'd you forget and is it worth going back for? While you're in this self-checkout line, right? You got your basket of stuff, right? You're 20 items or less and you're at 26, right? And you're in the line and you're just like, I feel like I'm forgetting something. And that's how self-checking out feels sometimes, is you start to remember that if you self-check out, this checkout is permanent. You know, you walk out this store, you don't come back type thing, right? And so there's going to be things that you need to remember. Remind yourself of. And so I'm just like, you know, hoping that this is a reminder, like, yeah, step out the line right quick, go back in one of the aisles, see what's there, right? And something I've learned about reminders, we really don't like reminders. We treat them like alarms. And then you want, because of your disdain for alarms, right? Because really your only relationship with alarms is the alarm clock and the timers you set when you're talking to your AI, right? Which also makes me have a very weird relationship with people who need my technology sometimes. It's just like, look, I look at how folks talk to their AI. My mom just said to me recently, I'm like someone's personal AI. I've always known that all my life, so I didn't take offense to it. That's not the point. What I want people to focus on is that many folks have always treated those in IT as an AI in the flesh. And you treated them like Data from Star Trek when they're not Data from Star Trek. If anything, the only way we're like Data from Star Trek is it's an intelligent actor that's playing the role very well, might I add. Shout out to him. Like, the Star Trek Next Generation. Like, I don't know. You just get tired of trying to just explain to folks like, yo, you make me feel like a human robot. You make a lot of us feel like a human robot, those of us who provide a service. And that's why a lot of you suck right now with AI, is because when you give us prompts, when you give us commands, you suck with that too. Shit, do you know how much of a friend AI has been for me in the last few months? Because it's actually something that talks back when you call it, when you talk to it. Like, I think y'all really underestimate the impact of your silence. This is something I always get told to me. Das, your silence is just as loud as when you're poignantly saying something. Well, that's great. So I can't ever just have a moment of silence. Nor can I just have a moment in which when I'm saying something, you take it for the tone and the words it was said and you stop saying it. It's hyperbolic. I remember when I forgot who I told, when I said that my ex during COVID, when she put her hands on me. And I remember I'm telling certain folks this, and they're thinking I'm speaking like poetically or some shit. And I'm like, how the f did you get a poetic prose from someone's hands with an object, might I add, placed on you? And that's allegorical? Okay. Then we wonder why we have such a high domestic abuse issue in this country. A lot of people in the self-checkout because you are affected by that. When you're dealing with abusers who hide their abuse. Same ones who will say like, hey, I'm sorry you perceived it that way. And so there's some of us right now who are in this line and or have caused others to get in this line because you said that one thing. That one thing. Going back to the whole thing of like my mom saying, one of the hardest things of therapy is not you getting the therapy. It's after you've gotten the therapy, you try to confront those that you needed therapy for in the first place, them just not admitting any of the shit. That's really the hardest part of this therapy. It's really not going. It's like when you go and someone tells you what the happened, like you don't know. No, you're getting permission in some respects that it's okay for you to process what actually happened when dealing with someone who lies, especially about what happened. And we're so like stuck in this thing of whoever's the first to say it must be the one who's true. And you really got to question a lot of different things. Like, what did y'all experience in relationship with trauma? Seriously. Like, what is your proximity to it? And what did you classify as traumatic versus dramatic, right? What I'm asking and really getting at is do you properly know how to assess what's a paper cut and what's a gunshot wound? Right? Because it feels like we don't. And it feels like we have a lot of folks who will get a paper cut and use the language of mental health, especially, which pisses me off to another end. You will use the language of mental health and why someone should care about your paper cut as you show up to the ER amongst others with blood coming from their head, And we have some folks who are now audacious enough to say,
yes, I am. I am saying that you should put my needs and concerns that are not life-threatening, they're just uncomfortable, and provide me discomfort. And because I haven't gotten that care before, I think you should put this because this person over here, they're gonna get the...
how are you not Cain? Cain, Cobble, in this thing of Abel and Cain. Cain and Abel, Hobble and Cobble, right? How are you not Cain in this? And why should I not treat you like Cain? See, over here, we understand there is a difference. There are those who try to do what Abel does, or Hobble, right? And there are those who do what Cain does, Cobble, right? And the reminder of this is like, yo, this is actually perfect for the self-checkout line. You can be in line with your stuff, and you can be like, oh snap, this person over there got this pistachio mix, right? And you got at least two choices. If you want this in your basket, you can take that person's, or you can go and make the journey to the aisle which has this and get one for yourself. You just give up your spot in line. And it just kind of feel like we have more folks willing to just take. And karate kind of tell you some things. Like if someone does that, they feel that they can. And so we have a lot of folks that are trying right now. In the gaming world, you call them trolls. They keep trying and seeing what they can get away with. That's a troll. Usually trolls, they get shot in the streets. Just FYI. You troll the wrong person, you learn a hard lesson. You learn not to probably get so loud with that person. You learn different things. Or as they say, don't punch above your weight class unless you Rey Mysterio or some shit. Like there's gonna be exceptions to the rule, but I really hope your Muggsy Bogues are like Rey Mysterio. Like one time for the little man. Like that's what it is. Yeah, the reminder of in this self-checkout line, and you're thinking about checking out, because ain't nobody really giving two shits. That's what it is. Ain't nobody coming to save you. Ain't nobody coming to make sure that, what if this was your medicine, right? Because for a lot of folks, that's what their reality is right now. It's not just they don't get their medicine, they go nuts in another way, or they die. Like for some folks, their urgency is truly urgent, and then you're just like, yo, are we just this playful with words so someone can feel included? Because they never felt included, and it's just like, well, I'm expecting for all you folks who never felt included to learn words, man, and just learn to speak up, and stop holding people hostage with your silence, man. Like that's my thing. That's what's hard for me to stay in this line of making sure y'all don't check out. It's because it's like, ain't nobody checking on a nigga like this here. And the ones that do, it's just like, I'm worried about, do anybody check on them? And it's getting harder to maintain this balance, yo. My dad and I used to get into it about how you say something versus what is being said. I was on team, how you say something is important. He was on team, what you say is more important. Over the years, I would argue that both are as important as two sides of a coin are. If the cashier asks you for 25 cents, he's not asking for it on tails or head. But if we're in a football game and we're trying to see who goes first, right? You flip it. And that's when the sides matter. The context of this is important. That was always my aspect of the argument of how something is said versus what is being said. The context, which is part of the how. How did we get here? How is that possible? How that right? which sometimes you need the explanation of others because you don't have the experience. Maybe you're asking how something was during a certain period of time that no longer exists. So you need someone to be able to demonstrate a little bit better or visualize it so others can see it, right? And my pops would be like, look, man, if you get so caught up on how something is said, sometimes you gonna miss what's being said. In other words, you can be conned, right? Because you so worried. That's how disguise work. Someone put a disguise on, right? And they get in and they get what they need. How? You were so concerned about how things looked that you never knew what to look out for. So it's like, the image of something, yeah. Idolatry, yeah. All right, I got it. Do you really got it? I got it. Right? At the end of the day, man, I really just hope someone gets it, someone cares, and someone shares that at least they saw. The fuck is a view if I don't even know who you are behind it? So when people go to chasing views after views and that's why comments mean something, because it's someone taking the courage to say, like, whether it's a diss, whether it's a big compliment, it don't matter. It take courage. Trolls even know that. That's why they get away with shit, because they know that you ain't got the stones or whatever other family non-gender binder stones to say it with. Because you're going to be so tripped up in how something is said. Just like I used to be. Then you'd be wishing the person that cared about what was said was still around. Because when I look around now, man, y'all don't even give a two about what is said or how it's said. But you still want to know why. And so you feel a bit like Atlas Shrugged. Well, John Galt and anybody else who followed him. At some point, you either go looking for Atlantis or you make your own. That's all I know. And it seems a lot easier to make your own. Well, you'd think, at least. They've made it a little bit harder for you to do such a thing. And so that also leads to like self-checking out, because it's like at the end of the day, you're not building this just for yourself, you're building it for others. But no one really cares. And then even if they wanted to help, it would require them to learn new skills. And no one cares enough to want to even do that. They don't even do that for their own family. Shit. Like I had to learn a whole bunch of stuff that my pops wanted me to learn just for the intention of teaching it to other people. To be the next generation of educators. And so it baffles me. Because we don't care about this. And I ain't gonna be here forever. I feel I get weaker every day. Shit. And I got one leg now. One leg. And ain't complaining about it. Not in that respect. What I get mad is that folks will think they know how I feel about this. But you still have yet to hear me speak about it until now. That's my point. Or one of my points. And then I guess I have no point. Or maybe I do. Because, again, I don't know if there's even a point to doing this. All I knew was this was on my mind. This was pressing. And if I'm going to do a show or a talk show of any kind, it's going to be on this shit here. You tuning in and we figure out how to not self-check out together. From your man that worked that self-checkout, that's now still in the service industry, doing public service in the way that I was taught. Because service is service, and it's Ramadan. We are Muslims. For those of us who are Muslims, we are servants of the Most High, which means you are taught to provide a service. I'm really hoping, really wishing, really something that providing people a service is going to still be worth it. Because right now it don't feel worth it. It don't feel worth it to be able to do all this cool creative stuff and just give it to yourself. And then when you do want to collaborate with others, they're so paralyzed by their fear and insecurities. And sometimes will project that harshly onto you, which kills your creativity. That it kills any sense of collaboration ever happening. Any working together. Why would I work together when you silently want to compete with me because you feel like you could replace me one day, I guess? I don't know. It's just like, you know what? Have at it. You want this crown? Here, go ahead. There's a bunch of different hats we're all hiding because of persecution. You're so eager to wear it. Go ahead, put it on. You know, folks would be like, heavy lies the head that wears the crown. And I'm just like, the good is a crown when you got the brain of a dodo? Like, no, heavy lies the mind. They got to think like a crown. Like, and when you're the person that the king always go to, or the queen always go to, or whoever the lead, the manager always go to, because you just the perfect house nigga, I guess, with enough field experience, you know, the perfect chimeric hybrid. Still can't escape cafe con leche or the brown paper bag either way, I guess, right? I think right here, it's probably just the best thing to just wrap it up. I never know, again, when I'm talking too much, talking too less. I don't talk enough to people. That's kind of the issue. So this whole thing of go out, try to meet new people, try to talk to them. Yo, people are so shitty with communication right now because everyone's all over the place. And I'm empathetic and aware of it. I think if I'm acknowledging it, I would hope by now that people see that. But it's like I'm already prepared for people's responses negatively, because that's the whole point of me talking about people checking out. I ain't talking about me. There's someone in your life right now that you haven't shared time with, you haven't shared a story with, you haven't shared space with, you haven't shared anything. I ain't even talk money. Did I say anything about money? Nope. Are you sharing with folks, or are you just taking? Yo, Ramadan about fasting, but if you can't fast, then to give out, to give what you have that is of some kind of value. Otherwise, then don't skimp on that shit. That's why you getting stuff back. That's why you getting skimps back, because you be skimping on what you give out. We all got work to do with this. It's just like, yo, let's stop giving each other reasons to check out. We are past apologies in some cases. So when you are past apologies, the only thing that can pull you back before conflict escalates is acknowledging what took place. Because what this gets likened to for everyone, the clearest example I can give you is, did black slavery exist, yes or no? And the fact that I'm asking that question as a 36-year-old black, brown, biracial Muslim, I'm asking with that context for a reason. Because when we're questioning it so much that in law, in certain states and textbooks, it's now subjective and relative of whether or not it took place, I think there's an argument to be had, because we're not just doing it with that. We're pretty much doing it with anything that you can recollect. And so, yeah, I don't really want to be a reminder for folks if essentially that means your death. You want to kill the reminder the same way you want to throw the alarm clock across the room because it woke you up. But you don't like being awake to certain things, but everybody want to claim being woke. I went back to being conscious. Fuck this woke shit. Only thing that's cool with this woke shit is Childish Gambino. That's it. That's it. Everything else, what was that meme? Time woke, left the black community, this shit was gone. And that's all, that's true. Super facts. Like, bring back conscious. Just don't bring back the bullshit that we had with conscious, all right? Like, I wish folks would stop focusing on so much the specifics of a person's story, because you keep missing the moral. Again, the how versus what is said. Oh, Dallas, who you talking about in your experience, in your story? Mind your business. It's not important. Y'all be the same ones that can't sit still in a movie. You want to ask 5 questions every scene instead of waiting till the end of the movie to talk about what you saw. Nope, not even gonna do it. Not even gonna do it. You saw I was about to go off on I used to go to the movies with my dad all the time. And that's one of the things too, man. Like, I'll end it on this. A lot of us just don't have that friend we used to talk to. That was like your partner in crime or partner in law, whatever side of brass you stood on. And at least back then they understood the price of brass. And they all went to listen to a saxophone or trumpet player, brass instrument, for those who didn't catch it. I miss those times, man. I miss how people communicated. I miss the honesty, the brashness, the crassness. What I don't miss is the lack of forgiving and the lack of remorse, the lack of accountability, therefore, and emotional accountability and spiritual accountability. That's what I feel like has truly been lost by us not sharing these certain things with each other, sharing apologies, sharing acknowledgments, sharing truth, sharing honesty, sharing things of actual value that supersede something that has a monetary financial dollar sign of some sort in front of it or at the end of it. But what do I know? I'm just a kid who came from self-checkout, right? It's long-winded. If you made it through to the end of this, I thank you. Truly. Most folks ain't patient with me yet. They want my time for other stuff, and I feel my time is limited right now in a lot of different ways. So, thank you for sticking along this long here. And remember, remind, I guess remember that you gotta find your own reasons and not check out, yo. Remember, what'd you forget in one of the aisles? Who knows? Maybe when you go back there to get something, you see someone you haven't seen in a minute, right? It's kind of how life works. I don't believe in chance and coincidence, not when you believe in destiny and God and fate, right? No matter your relationship with it, bad or good, it's just, if you believe in it, then you're way ahead of the curve than most folks. I'll tell you that. It means you see things for what it is, not how everybody else want it to be. I just don't know how many of y'all are out there, to be honest, anymore. I don't know if it much matters. I don't know if it matters if someone in this space that looks like me, sounds like me. It's a whole bunch of folks who just want to control what it look like. Still don't know what role I serve. Because it's just like, at this point, I'll do whatever the role needs and requires of me. At least I'd like to hope that I still got it in me to do that. So on that note, I don't want to hold up the line. I don't want to, keep y'all in here at the checkout line. But I don't want you to go past me here, okay? I got to get something before the store closes, right? So don't worry about me. With you, just figure out, what did you forget? What have you forgotten? What do you need a reminder of? Lest life remind you in a more dastardly, wicked way, right? Like, What do you need to go back for so you can get out of this line for a second? And that's what I leave you with. And I hope to see you next time. Right? Right. All right, y'all. Peace be upon you. Peace be with you. It's your man, SoulMan IT. Stay peaceful. Godspeed. One love. I'm out. But not checking out.